Hello, all of my Viking friends. I am in my kitchen behind the scenes where I am going to slop together a couple of things and hope for the best. Today I am doing a stroganoff made out of pheasant. I am not sure if I'm going to accomplish this or not. I know that stroganoffs usually have some noodles in them, which is high in carbs. But if I could figure out which part of the stroganoff is the carbs, the strog or the noff, then maybe I could eliminate the noff or the strog and come out with a decent dish. Not sure which part I'm going to eliminate first. But then I have an interesting recipe that I'm going to try. Remember my recipe for candied bacon? Well, if not, go check that out really quick and then come back. Okay. So I'm thinking, ready for this one? Candied bacon ice cream. It might be good, it might be bad, I don't know. I am testing out the recipe and you are getting a glimpse behind the scenes at all the mess that I create trying to figure out, well, if these recipes are actually good or not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So stay tuned. First, we're going to start out with some pheasant. I wrapped in saran wrap, cleaned them up, got it all good, collected the breast. And we are going to go ahead and clean these up. This is a leg. I'm going to go ahead and just cut these up. Now, if you don't have pheasant, that's okay. Chicken will do fine, also turkey. Okay. Okay, probably a pound and a half of good meat total. So after I cut up all of the pheasant breast, what I'm going to do is I am going to use my handy dandy crock pot. I love this thing. You could also use a cast iron pot if you want, but the crock pot is a lot easier. You could set it and you can walk away, and then later on you can come back and it is still halfway on in the warm cycle and you don't have to worry about much hassle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my pheasant breast and also 3 cups of chicken stock. And then I am going to add, well, if I can do this, then I am going to add my pheasant. Now, this part is optional. You can go ahead and add seasoning. You can add onions or peppers or garlic. You can add anything that you want to make it kind of this creamy, soupy, kind of delicious. I guess stroganoff is German, I guess. You could add different various really robust flavors. If you are strict carnivore, then you don't have to add anything but salt. So I like to add Icelandic volcano salt, the tears of a dragon, as I say. a salt of your choice. You can also add various other things in there like rosemary or thyme. Parsley would also be good. Anything that would add a thick, creamy, earthy flavor. I'm just going to stick with salt for right now. Now for the fun part. I am going to try to make a candied bacon ice cream. If you have followed anybody's channels, you know that there is a ketogenic kind of ice cream, a ketovore kind of ice cream, and a carnivore kind of ice cream. Any one of those recipes will do in this. What I'm going to show you though is how I like to do my own ice cream. It is a really dirty carnivore type of ice cream, or you could say it's a ketovore ice cream. The ingredients, you can argue, are on the dirty line, but if you really necessarily need ice cream, which you don't, but if you really want ice cream and you're going out with friends or family or anything like that, and they're partaking in whatever they're partaking, a little bowl of this for your own pleasure won't hurt at all. My kitchen is usually really dirty and I always have to clean it. And it sucks because I always cook in it, and then I have to clean it, and then I have to clean it before I cook in it. It's this never-ending cycle of cleaning the kitchen. But that's part of this whole journey. It's making sure that your kitchen's clean enough to cook in, and then you have to clean it after you cook. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add an entire 32 fluid ounce of heavy whipping cream. Any brand will do as long as it is full whipping cream on the heavy side. Now this was previously frozen, so it's kind of clumpy. But that'll be good here in just a minute because I'll get everything incorporated. So we are going to bring this to a boil, and then we are going to add 2 packets of this Knox gelatin. Not sponsored, but it's just easier. Here's what the packages look like. I'm going to bring this to a light boil. All right. So after it is at a steady boil, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the 2 packets of gelatin while I whisk. Smells a little rough, and I actually don't like the smell of gelatin, but once it's cooked, it has a tamer smell. Now this is where the magic happens. I'm going to add a little bit of this maple extract. A couple of pinches. And then I'm going to stir it some more. If you want to, go ahead and leave it as is and just add the candied bacon. That's perfectly fine. If you want to, you can also add a little bit of stevia extract if you wanted to, either liquid, or if you wanted to add a little bit more of allulose or monk fruit sweetener, that is entirely up to you. I might add just a little tiny bit of stevia just to make it a little bit sweeter, but I'm not going to add too much because the candied bacon is going to add a sweetness. So I'm just going to add just 1 tablespoon of Splenda, just like this. Certainly, you do not have to. And go ahead and stir that around. At this point, you could also add a little bit of pure vanilla extract. I'm not going to. I am just going to leave it just like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the temperature. Right now I have it on about a 9. I'm going to reduce it down to about a 3. And I'm going to occasionally stir this for another 20 to 25 minutes until it caramelizes. It's going to become this good caramel like cream sauce, and that's when it's perfect. Then meanwhile, as I'm doing this, I'm going to make the candied bacon. So this is a perfect time to start that candied bacon, and I will see you back in about 30 minutes. Here's what you missed. About 8 minutes ago, I almost burned down my house. But I figure that's what the smoke detector is for, is to let you know when your food is done. So I made a whole bunch of candied bacon and I chopped it up. Everything looks good. I do have to clean the oven out. I made quite a mess, actually. And meanwhile, the ice cream mix, I guess you'd call it, is very, very thick and caramelized. It is now like a sweet cream mixture, and it is going to be divine. So we're going to let this actually cool a little bit before we add our chopped bacon. So it's been about 4.5 hours since I put the pheasant in, and as you can see, it is all done. So this is the part that you can decide how much you want to put into it. I'm going to add 1 cup of sour cream. Now you can go for the gusto and add all sorts of different things, or you can just keep it on the sour cream. If you really wanted to, you can also add a little bit of cream cheese or ricotta cheese. It is completely up to you how you want to create your own dish. Right now, I am just adding 1 cup of sour cream. One thing I like to do in my test kitchen is I like to experiment on a variety of options out there. Certainly for the stroganoff, you can add cauliflower or other types of vegetables if that's what you choose. You can add a variety of different herbs and spices if you want to do that too. What I want to do is I want to make this more carnivore than a ketovore or even a ketogenic dish. And therefore, all of my ketogenic friends out there can add things to it to make it more ketogenic. Or if you are carnivore, you have options too. Now, if you're hearing this in the background, that's because all of the dogs are playing and having a good time, and they're running around the house and drinking a couple of drinks, and then they'll go back to playing. So you'll hear a lot of the jingling of their collars and their little roughhousing because, well, it is in the evening and they are full of piss and vinegar. So I am going to try out a little thing that I don't know how it's going to work out, but we'll see what happens. I pulled this out of the cave that I have. I am I'm going to add some pork rinds. So after blending almost an entire bag of pork rinds, I get about that amount. And I'm going to add about 3 eggs. And then I'm going to do the rest of the pork rinds. And what you get is a paste like this. Now what I did was I removed this and I got out my ice cream scooper and another spoon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a pot to a full boil, and I'm going to slowly scoop out balls of this mixture into here. Now I don't know what I'm going to call this, maybe like pork rind noche maybe? I've never made this before, so we will see if this is actually going to work. I am not too entirely sure. As you can see, it's at a steady boil, and I'm going to see if I can't get this into balls. That is really hot. I am actually going to turn it down. That is boiling hot, literally. So I'm going to just shape this into a ball. I don't know. Like I said, this is all experimental. We'll see what happens. All right, so that is going to be my first ball. It is falling apart too, so I'm not too entirely sure this was a good idea. I'm going to do several of these here. Okay, I'm doing 2 of these. Okay, let's see. Might fall. Ah, no, this isn't working. Okay. Well, it fell apart. Darn, darn, darn. Oofda. I don't know. This is pretty rough looking. Okay. It completely disintegrated in the water. Okay, so let's figure out. So boiling is not an option. Well, that was a complete failure. So now we're going to try the air fryer because, well, and this is why I call it the test kitchen. I might try 3 or 4 different options before I figure out what works and what doesn't. So I'm going to roll these into balls again and place them on a little cookie dish here. do this here, and then I'm going to pop them in the air fryer. I think probably, I don't know, 325 for 10 minutes and see what happens. I don't even know if this is going to work at all. I might be just spinning my wheels and wasting my time. Hence the reason why people just go and grab a bite to eat somewhere and call it good. Because who has time to do this? And these are kind of loose. I don't know if I have to pack them tighter. I don't know. Well, we're gonna try 4 and see what happens. So I'm gonna stick this into the air fryer and I am going to, well, try. Meanwhile, I have the air fryer going. I might as well finish the ice cream. It's cooled off to the touch. I can touch it. It's pretty firm, as you can see. I'm going to dump it into a glass bowl. You can see that it's pretty thick. During this process, you can add egg yolk to it. I don't see why not, or I don't see why you should. I don't know. It's up to you. This is your recipe, not mine. Okay, so now I am going to add the candied bacon. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but this might be really good, or this might be something that we put a pin in it and perfect later. I'm going to give it a light stir so that it's mixed around a little bit. And then I am going to go ahead and pop this into the freezer for about 2 hours. And we'll see what happens. So that was dumb. After about 15 minutes, I realized that the glass breaks in the freezer. And so I pulled out the glass container that I put the bacon ice cream in, and now I'm trying to figure out if I have anything metal besides my ice cream maker, which I don't have any salt for. If you have an ice cream maker, absolutely use it. This is the time to use it. I like to use mine in the winter because it's fun, I guess, but I don't have any salt, so any rock salt. I have all sorts of other salt, but I'm not going to use the expensive salt. Plus it won't work, so there's that problem. But this is supposed to be easy ice cream, so you don't have to go out and buy an ice cream maker. So here I am in this conundrum trying to figure out what I'm going to do to make this ice cream. I'm going to have to think about it. So after a while of thinking about it, I finally found this. And I guess I'm going to use this. But I know that not all of this will fit this, so I'm going to try it anyway. It doesn't look that good now. All right. Excuse my fingers here. I'm gonna go wash up. I put the candied bacon ice cream into the freezer, and now I am dealing with the air fryer. Okay, So I'm gonna taste this. It's hard as a rock. I don't know. I would say no. It's hard to describe the flavor. If it was soft, I would like it for the fact that it could be biscuits, but it's crunchy. Almost like croutons. It's salty. I am not sure if this would be good with the stroganoff over it. There's only one way to test it out. It's got to be done. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of this. It didn't thicken like it's supposed to, so it's kind of a runny mess right now. I'm gonna have to figure out how to thicken it. Probably just add cream cheese or more something. I don't know. But I'm gonna taste this. See, the problem is these are hard. The meat is soft. And I just don't know what to do right now. Things are beeping at me. What is beeping at me? Oh, it's a timer. I'm trying not to burn down my kitchen again. Okay. I'm gonna taste this here. All right, ready? First of all, the pheasant stew is pretty good. It's actually really good. First of all, I already said first of all. It's good. The flavors don't really combine. It's kind of a mixture. And I wouldn't put these flavors together necessarily. I'm trying to figure out what to do with this now. Because I've got the texture of the pheasant, which is really good. And then I've got this mess, which is interesting, tastes like crackers. It tastes like you would make a cracker. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make crackers out of them and see if I can't thicken this with maybe some cream cheese, because cream cheese always does better in soups like this. And then sprinkle the crackers on top, because that just might work. So let me do that, because I'm kind of not digging this, actually. Yeah. It's just weird contextually, and I wouldn't put this together in a good meal. So let me go do that. Always making a mess. Look at that. Always Vikings making a mess. So let's give this a try. I can't promise anything, but if it doesn't work out, oh well. All you could do is just try. So I was actually quite impressed with this. It actually kind of turned out kind of like crackers almost. If I break those apart, that'll be really good crackers. What I didn't happily enjoy is the stroganoff. It is interesting. It's very soupy, and I don't know if I like it or not. I don't know if it's something that I can fix. I might leave the crock pot on overnight and see what happens. I don't know. We'll see. So the ice cream has been in the freezer for a little over an hour. I would say closer to 2 hours. And as you can see, it's a very interesting consistency, but does it taste good? Now I'm going to have my accomplice taste it because I am curious to see if this would pass for an ice cream dish. Because if I say it's good, then, well, is it? All right. Of course, it doesn't look that appetizing when you chunk it around. All right, Hans, give it a taste. Be honest. Is it really good?
I mean, it's not bad, but...
It's not bad. Okay, explain the flavor.
More like a custard.
It's a custard. Is it cold custard?
Lukewarm. If it was cold, it'd be better.
Lukewarm? Well, the outside is cold. Did the inside not get cold?
Nope.
Well, that is interesting. Well, okay. All right, I'm going to taste it. Well, it is cold. Yeah, you're right. It is kind of a custard kind of flavor. It does need to chill some more, so I would give it another hour, hour and a half inside the freezer before you serve it. I would also recommend making my keto caramel sauce if you really wanted to, and giving that a try on this. It's actually pretty good. Yeah. Who knows? This might be your next sensation. So that concludes today's behind the scenes messy kitchen catastrophe. I made crackers, which I didn't mean to make, and I made a really good custard-like ice cream that needs a lot of work, but it's there. The foundation is there. And my stroganoff is more noff than strog, and after a while I had enough. So there is that, and my smoke alarms do work. I'm just going to say that. And until next time, my friends, lycka till. Skål. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? This might be your next sensation.